First of all, thank you everybody for joining. I'm really happy to see all of you all joining us for this webinar, and I'm looking forward to this to learn from an expert here. And before we get into the details of this webinar and also to the topic, just a few checks. So we have budgeted about 25-30 minutes or 35 minutes max for the session, and then we will have the Q&A. So you keep your questions coming in, and I'm sure Prem will be very, very happy to answer those questions at the end of the webinar. If we are not able to answer some questions, you can reach us out, and we will take it personally, right?
Right.
For some reason you find any technical issues, just try logging out and logging in again. I think that should solve your problem. And please feel free to share your questions throughout the entire session. So today we'll be talking about online reputation management. It's a very important factor in the entire digital marketing scheme, right? It falls under the gamut of digital marketing. And what we're going to do is cover various aspects related to online reputation management, right from how it's important for brands, how it has evolved, what are career opportunities there, how is it leading towards customer experience management, how social listening plays a part in it, right? So different aspects covering, talking about online reputation management. And to do that, I have Prem Kumar Iyer. So I will leave it up to Prem to talk about him. Prem, all yours.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I'll keep it brief. So I represent a agency called Hawk, which is fresh in the market. We announced a couple of weeks back, which is part of Gozo Group, which happens to be India's largest standalone agency. And the whole genesis of Hawk is to build a data-driven CX agency that focuses on online reputation management, listening, and digital intelligence, which like you also mentioned, something that the world and specifically in India, a lot of brands are waking up to the importance of that and how it can actually be a game changer in the way they market and not just market, but also the way product and services are defined for a lot of brands. So that's what we do. We wanted to build a more thought leadership and increase our spread, not just in India, but across the world. Right now we operate in India and in Middle East. That's a bit about who we are. And fun fact, today happens to be my 12th anniversary at Gozo also.
Wow, very many congratulations to you.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
12 years.
Thanks.
So I'll be talking about that also. I mean, 12 years, I think there's lots to pick your brains on. So let's get going.
Sure.
So that's Prem. I'm Meldon Moraes. I'm the VP Marketing and Partnerships at Connect Insights. I have been in the industry for about 2 decades now almost, and worked across the digital marketing spectrum, sales, international business. And today we are a part of a platform. I'm a part of a company called Connect Insights, which is an omni-channel customer experience management platform. It offers solutions such as social listening, online reputation management, and various other modules to enable brands better service their customers. And Prem and Gozo, we work very closely with them. So I'm very glad to have you as a part of this webinar. And I'm really looking forward to learn a lot from you in terms of ORM. So let's get going. Like I said, audience, please keep your questions coming in, and we will be taking them towards the end of the session. All right. But I will be doing a lot of questioning today on your behalf. What we have done is we've asked some of our attendees to come up with questions that they would like to ask, or they would like to learn from, and we'll be taking those through. So you briefly covered about Hawk and Gozo. So I would like to learn more about the genesis of Hawk. Like, why was it, came into inception, all of that. Yeah.
So Gozo predominantly since 2010 when I joined them, have been very aggressive when it comes to the way we look at growth and business. And for us, we don't want anything on our board where we are maintenance. Like one constant thing that you'll hear my founders and my CEOs always drilling into us, right? We don't need 5 on 10s. We need at least 7 on 10s, and then go on to 8, 9, and 10 on 10, right? So that's where all the services internally are constantly trying to innovate, staying true to our creative DNA that we and we try to innovate internally. And then when we were doing this is when we realized that we've actually kind of have an advantage in our services, which to the world, it's online reputation management, right? And one thing led to another, and then we realized that now it's time that this particular thing should be given its own wings. Also, there are certain instances that happened. We were in pitches, and these were high ticket ORM pitches. And one question always came like, you guys are digital guys. The mindset that, which is also fair, like the mindset is the creative and customer service. Like if I want to put it in a broader perspective, these are two parallel skill sets. One needs eccentricity and wildness, and one needs discipline and process, right? And for people, a lot of time it's tough for me to also explain, yes, these two can coexist, and that's what Hawk is. Like with the proper hybrid of what discipline the customer service needs and the creativity that creative digital agency can bring in. So when we're doing this, we realize that maybe big high stake and mandates where we can actually do some great work, build a portfolio, win awards and all, may not even think that GoZoop does great ORM. While the industry, like today, 80% of my business, like I don't do outbound sales. Like we get inbound inquiries that come pitch for ORM, right? So so we realized that maybe a big brand and where we were talking about deployments of let's say 30 agents and 40 agents, 50 agents, 100 agents time to come. They may not think that GoZoop is the go-to agency. For them, there are a few other names that come in mind. So we wanted to create an identity and build more thought leadership, and also go beyond what we are doing right now, because we don't want to limit ourselves in ORM. Okay, we want to get into the whole big league of customer service, and eventually go deeper into technology, build products that brings in efficiency, work with different products, see how we can add value to the brands, and then build a name for ourselves over there. So that's how it happened. And then we got into conversation. We assessed business. We did the whole process of why a particular brand should be done, how much, what we plan, and all this. So those things happened, and that's how we defined. So in fact, we were in stealth for good 8-9 months before announcing.
All right.
Yeah. So
tried and tested for 8 or 9 months, and now it's like all good.
Yeah. And to credit to the team, and I want to specifically tell this to my team, and what some of them are here as well. We've not lost a single client, standalone ORM client in the last 2 years.
Kudos.
That also 2 years, yeah. So that also somewhere the management realized that yes, there is something that we can do and we can actually build on. So that's how Hawk came in. And why Hawk is also very interesting, because we relate to that bird a lot. If you just Hawk, Eagle, and Falcons are used interchangeably.
You also know about Hawkeye as an Avenger character, so
exactly. So and then how right? One of the peculiar things that Hawk is identified is how it flies over top of a pond or a lake, and then it dives and catches the fish right on top and moves on. And which is the same logic. Hawkeye, the technology in cricket has come. Okay. So that was, and that's where, like, because for us the way we look at insights is also very different than how brands and others do. So all these, and it's a great bird to learn from. So hence we took Hawk, and we internally use the word be hawkish a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
for folks who are intending to join GoZoop in the future, be hawkish a lot. That's your mantra for today. All right. Excellent. What I was, when you were talking, I picked up one thing that you said. You want to gravitate towards customer service, and I think that would be something that I will talk about a lot towards later end of this webinar. But now, since we are talking about Hawk, like you said, you want to create a specific identity which is ORM specific, right? So how did that, I would say, impact the culture of the company? How was the change management done, and how were you able to retain so many clients, give them the idea that the same entity?
So and see, we didn't wake up one day and said that abhi hame aisa behave karna hai. Okay. Now, one of the very core reason why we are so good at ORM, and if I see, like I said, I want to also let people know that ORM, if I want to simplify it, someone who doesn't know, it's online customer service, as simple as that, on social channels and digital platforms. We were always a people-driven company, and that's my hardwiring since 2010 I joined.
Mm.
And umpteen instances where I've seen my company take a stand where we kept people first. The focus from day one has been build leadership. And when
Mm.
we hire also, like for us, like one mantra, first who, then what, is
Mm.
very dear to us. Like we figure out who we want to work with and then figure out uske साथ क्या करना है या उनके साथ क्या करना है.
Okay.
So a lot of innovations of us have happened when we have like this all cross-cultural people coming in, jamming together and figuring those things out. So people centricity was always in our blood.
Mm.
And then I'm sure you also aware that we've been winning great places to work for the last total 6 years, out of which 5 years were on the trot.
Mm.
Okay, 2016 was a year when we missed, and we took it very seriously, took all the intel, ensure that our culture, I mean, whatever problem we had, we fixed it. And then since then till 2021, we've been winning back to back. So that always was our core DNA. And what we do here in ORM is also dealing with people,
Right.
right? So for us, it came naturally.
Mm.
And I was also lucky that there are certain people that who joined us, and I want to. So my right and left hands who are not there with us, they moved to Canada. Okay, Johnson and Sachin, one of the best people, best you've interacted, right? Best minds when it comes to ORM. I was fortunate that we stumbled upon they found sense in the vision that we had, and the journey for Hawk started in 2016. And they joined us at that time, so they stuck around and they got their own energies. But one thing all binded us is that people centricity, which has been hardwired into me since 2010 when I joined Gozu, right? And for us, like I said, first two, then what, and also we feel that your team is your mirror, right? And that's why we focus on a lot of building leaders in that direction, and so that the team also follows their footsteps.
Right.
That is where our consumer centricity came in. There's no fixed formula. There's no event that I'll tell you this was the event that led us to look at this in a different lens. But it's wiring for the last 12 years, I must say.
Okay.
And I'm glad every manager of mine walks the hard part and with all the challenges that it comes with it. Yeah.
Right. So I know I'm still sensing that customer centricity being the baseline of everything you're saying. So I'm really glad, because today's world is all about being customer centric and customer experience management.
Now more than ever.
And it's there, it's there to stay. It's the battleground, frankly.
Right.
So
we'll
talk about that more. But what I want to, really establish here or try to get that from you is online reputation management. I mean, I have been a digital marketer, or I am still a digital marketer, not been though. There are a lot of people whom I have interacted with. I'm sure you come across people who would say that, okay, ORM sounds very boring. We want to get into something creative. Social media management is, awesome. So
right.
Something so, like you said, process oriented, disciplined. How do you, what should aspirants look at when you're opting for a career like ORM, and how it can be lucrative for them, and not only not, but going forward as well?
Interesting question. There's no straightforward answer, but I'll try to answer for the larger. Okay. Now this industry has today, like for example, we started this conversation that ORM has to be seen in a different light back in 2017 when we started meeting brands. Nobody understood, nobody even bothered. Okay, but now they're having larger conversation. Like now today, brand is saying that how do I improve my product through these complaints that you guys are handling, right? Tell me what are the pain points, which department I should dig deeper. In fact, one of the hospitality brand that we have, they've known for a lot of complaints that they get from the sales team. Okay. Now, since we came on board and we periodically also send reports around the chatter and trends around the sales team, right? The CMOs use those reports, gone back and use that to just set things right. And I'm using a very mellowed what was told to us from the brand side, right? It was used in the sales conferences to get those people in order. Right. So that's the kind of, so, and when we do this, and today, like there's a brand that told us that if I just want people to respond, I wouldn't have had you guys.
Okay.
I need your team to show me the cerebral power that you guys are known for. Right. So this industry is waking up to the need for people who apply their brains. Now, while it may sound normal, right? Everybody does, but sometimes it's far more complex than as simple as it looks like, right? You need to know what should be touched and what should not be touched.
Right.
which
Right.
particular point for a brand will make a great insight. Okay. And not by the sheer volume of those queries that comes, right? Now, very simple. Like there was one instance for a hospitality brand. They have their resorts in Jim Corbett's and all those places. Or random guy who came and told us that I'm surprised you guys still use CFL bulbs.
Okay.
This is like few thoda juna example hai. And that was the time when LEDs were very much into the thing. And we got down to the drawing board. We figured out and we sent that insight not just as a screenshot to the brand. We told them that probably if you have one LED bulb replaced with LCD CFL, what is the power that you save? Okay, and what is the cost saving that you do about? With that, we also told them that like LED bulbs are far more brighter. They have a larger shelf life, and they come in more attractive. This went till the top management. Now this is where the other side of the challenge comes. We never got back an update like and a feedback that what actually happened. So we had to go back and ask. They said that it got shot down because anyway renovations were part of it. So they said that we will use it when that happens. Things like these. So these needs this needs people who are smart. And like I feel sad saying this, and this is a lot of people feel that that how in 2010 and 11 or 5-6 जब call centers का बहुत craze था,
yes.
तो लोग बोला करते थे यार call center में तो किसको भी नौकरी मिल जाता है. That's kind of perception that's there, and which is what Hawk is changing. At least I can vouch today. Like for us, as important creative businesses for Google is like ORM for us is one of our primary service offering that like the whole management doesn't stop talking about when they meet brands. So, and how this is possible is when you get people who are delivering. So for a lot of people who and it's an untapped environment right now. People like smart people who chase social media agencies, and probably some are effective, some are not, because social media is ever evolving. You need to be very aggressive, eccentrically creative. That's more important, right? Need to come out with constant wacky content ideas. This field is very untapped, and if you are smart, you know how to tackle situations, how to manage crisis, and the brands need good people. And now, in fact, like I was surprised because I keep on checking on LinkedIn. Okay, for hiring also, I work with my HR team to look for people. A lot of brands now have ORM head, ORM director as a designation, which wasn't there 3 years back. Now, who these people are? People who spent 8-10 years doing ORM, doing listening, doing crisis management as their bread and butter work, right? So it's massive. And these guys are like, I'm talking about huge F&B stores with like 300 stores across the restaurants across the country, right? Like massive potential. So the only thing that is needed here is one, patience. Okay, because you start from the scratch, and the scratch here cannot change from being response management as the primary duty for a good 6 months to 1 year, because there you will be hardwired to know what kind of queries come, how to tackle. You will be under duress, a lot of pressure. Okay, when you have to hit TAT, you have to work round the clock. These just, and tomorrow when you're leading a team, you know all the nuances that and you can guide the team do better work, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, I mean, that was a very elaborate, I would say, I would not say an answer, but a lot of concepts there, because you spoke about crisis management, you spoke about listening, you spoke about having an analytical bent towards, able to pull out insights from the kind of chatter you get, right?
Right.
And I also what I'm trying to get at is, I think all of this requires some sort of creativity also, because if you're not creative, if you just don't look at everything as a process and can't think out of the box, I'm sure you'll just be stuck there. So if you care to share light on that, how creative a person should be when you're being a part of the ORM team.
So see, while the opportunities are there, but I will say less than as compared to what probably a social media person would probably encounter, right? But these are like great opportunity for us. We get massive kicks. Like there have been times when people try to troll us. We've converted that into a positive share of voice by just being wittier while responding to him.
Right.
And the best thing is like we don't hold ourselves to contracts that we sign. While of course we keep logical boundaries in mind so that my people don't get burnt out, right? But for us, like a lot of brands, recently, I don't know whether you must have observed the Gullak trend that happened on Sony Live, right? If you see the social samosa listicle that they made of the best replies, Oppo Care, okay, was the only cares handle that feature. That was done by the person who's handling. We were at the Delhi airport and he was writing that in front of me.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So like so these are the chances where you get. Also, sometimes like creativity also comes when you have to solve issues and somebody is already under anger, right? You need to find sensible, creative ways to talk to that person and calm him down and put sense into him, or else that just flies out of control, right? So the creativity that you use here is more functional in nature. Like probably these creativity won't get you cans or something of that sort. But
Okay.
yes, what it gets you is massive customer satisfaction for brands in today's age, right? It's very easy to sell to a new consumer, but very difficult to retain. That's where ORM agencies and when brands take ORM seriously, they're able to retain their people well, and then take those feedback and build those basically use those feedback to bring change into the way they operate and make it better.
All right.
So this is where the creativity, people need to know what is noise and what is not. Like somebody telling Indigo, for example, that open XYZ airport, and they spammed them 2000 times on Twitter. The brand by now, everybody's handle would have been spammed. So that cannot be an insight. But we telling them that XYZ location में probably 6 महीने बाद Asian Games का plan चल रहा है, या for some big sports event is going on, why don't you figure out extra flights for that? That becomes an insight for them to even consider, which brings in business change also. Yeah. So these needs that it's more functionally creative than eccentrically creative, that how creative businesses want. Yeah.
Excellent. So again, I mean, the smartness, thinking on your feet,
Yeah.
and you get the opportunity to be creative. And I think being functionally creative really helps, because in the long run, when you're navigating through your career, even dealing with a lot of people, especially customer facing, client facing, or even working with employees, people facing, and you have to be able to functionally, think on your feet and be able to navigate situations that you would be in a soup. And ORM really establishes that baseline, right? And talking about that baseline, let's talk about customer centricity. And I know you've kind of said, ORM is, but how? Can you dig deeper into how ORM can make brands more customer centric, and how are you guys helping brands do that and realize that?
Sure. See, now to know this, we have to understand what. So for a lot of brands, and this is changing, like I'm not complaining, but that's the reality. For a lot of brands, ORM is like, मेरे को hygiene के लिए चाहिए.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Even now, I need it because complaints are, we need to answer. What we forget is the shift in behavior of millennials now. Like you look around young guys that who are in office. Like I am talking about myself as well. While I'm slightly 86 born, I'm very uncomfortable calling a call center. I'm not the one who will write big emails. I get bored.
Absolutely.
Okay. Millennials are social, and it's. I'm not generalizing, but I'm just saying that what we've read as well is that the generation is socially awkward. They have a very small tight group, but when it comes to on social media, they have a very different personality. They express them.
If I can add, I mean, millennials now, you're talking about Gen Zs who are even more.
Yeah. So the shift in logic is, and we've seen brands which focus on millennials and Gen Zs more, right? The drift in the traffic that a call center or an email comes is lesser as compared to the amount of queries probably these we handle for them on social and digital platforms. Now that's one mindset. People want to chat. It's a DIY generation. They want solution on their fingertip. So they would like to chat and solve their problems. That is one part. Second part, the generation now is aware and they know that if I call, I'm going to be put through an IVR. Like you call Airtel and Vodafone, you'll get to know what painful it is to reach to a customer service guy. Right. And so many times I've frustrated and dropped it and then went on and Twitter had a chat. Okay. They know that my response won't be faster. They know emails will have a standard copy paste template जहाँ पे सिर्फ नाम और ticket ID वो सब change करके उनको reply आने वाला है.
And they'll say we'll get back to you in 24 hours.
Yeah, and that 24 hours never happens, right? But what they also understand is that I can actually like make a brand come to terms with my issue And I'm talking about people who genuinely like, and I myself have gone through a case wherein a high ticket product was sent. I mean, I was scammed basically. Okay, under Rin Sabun nikla usme se. And
Okay.
the e-commerce, yeah, and it was a 25 grand product. And the e-commerce I won't name, but they made my life miserable. For 25 days I had to fight. And I was very vocal on Twitter. Okay, so they know that if my issue I want to solve, if I go, there's a massive snob that gets created, or snowball that gets created when I'm bashing or fighting with a brand. They will come down and solve it. So these all things have led to people, okay, handle consumer, or rather focus on digital platforms for complaints. Okay, now what has happened is, let's say I'm not talking about difference in who's kiska zyada hai. I'm saying assume it's equal. Call center and emails are and WhatsApp are equal and social are equal. Now, if that is 50%, and here I have a full system of historically traditional way of customer service, that data is getting recorded.
Okay.
This data is far more personal than the data that probably a call center will, because calls transcription, then recording, here everything is chat. You have your log sheet will have all the comments. You can do n number of analysis, right? So that data that you get is precious. At the same time, see, we cannot ignore that social data is very easy to fragment, right? I can change perception, and then somebody just wrote, like, by seeding and buying reviews, those things also happen, right? But brands who are serious with the complaint that you get, you can actually create a full analysis that gives you a headway or a direction that this is the point I want to analyze,
Right.
and then like, it's easy, like you get demographic data, like the tools are like far superior now, right? You can do NPS, you can automate wherever the need be. I'm talking about logical automation, not blind automation. So this is something that brands have to now understand and accept.
Right.
That the generation has moved, right? And if you talk to my dad, he'll be like, my phone karke gaali dega. If you talk to, and that day my son, 7-year-old guy, he's like, please tweet to them, they are not sending my parcel faster. Okay. Is what my son says, because he listens to when I'm on calls, right? So that's the generation shift has happened, and brand has to understand that, which is happening in a slow speed, but I'm glad at least it's happening. We were talking about this in 2016, 70s, but now, like, people, I mean, brands did not weren't ready. I think it's fine, and now I think things are moving. Right. Hence, right. It's important, because you get massive. You can bring a lot of change because of this data.
Absolutely, and I think because of social media, things become also public in a way. So the brands also know, okay, yaar, ghar ki kahani bahar leke ja raha hai. I mean, true. They literally have to wear that sleeve up, right, of customer centricity, and I care for my customer, and that can only be shown when you have the right processes and the right systems to manage all of this, and have the mindset that I am not looking at it as a query, but an opportunity for me to make it become better as a brand.
Exactly.
And okay, so since it's talking about data and how you can leverage it, so how does social listening fit into this scheme of things, and how you think it can evolve with going forward?
So so social listening for us, we see that in two lines. One is when it comes to brand and the macro things that you do using social listening. The second thing that we've been practicing for ages is a very customer support centric social listening, wherein you are one step ahead, figuring things that can escalate. Okay. And picking those things and ensuring that it gets controlled. The second thing, that is something which a lot of I mean, I think I'm happy that I'm talking about the agency community here.
Yeah,
they've evolved a lot on the brand or a marketing driven listening, wherein you're analyzing campaigns, you're analyzing launches, you are evaluating conversation around a particular product or services, and then figuring out what to do. Right. Now for any listening, I mean, the objective is important, right? And I can share with one example experiences where the objective was to listen, and then listen the owned community. I'm not talking about the industry in general, but the owned community, and then figure out using those conversations, what is that content and campaign that I can drive better engagement with my audience.
Right.
Okay. The same time, now we're working with a lot of with a couple of channels and OTT players also. where a lot of programming feedback is analyzed using this chatter, and sometimes this whole analysis validates a particular uh, thought that the creative teams have, or sometimes it's to find out what we can avoid in the next season to ensure that the sentiments are far better. Learn from this season what went wrong, what didn't work, and deploy that for the next season, or figure what exactly worked in the last season and use that to market my current coming season.
Wow.
So this is what is going on, where I think massive scope of improvement comes because the data pool is so vast. Okay, it's practically impossible for people to go through each and every pieces. So you take a sample set. Okay, now it's all that it's the garbage in, garbage out. Like if your sample is not good, your study is not going to be good, right? So that one thing that we all agencies always struggle, because every meeting we go with sample X and he said how do you justify? And there are metrics in research logics that you give sampling techniques, but sometimes it's like it doesn't give me. Yeah. And we've seen brands still believe that the offline research is stronger because there's a face-to-face interaction, but we all know what happened to field officers when they go, how they fill the form. We've done this during our graduation
And
as
I
well.
think COVID has changed that completely. I mean,
Completely.
so now it's possible even to go with the form in people's hand.
You don't. And this joke that was spreading on WhatsApp, that COVID is the best chief digital officer of the world. So true.
Absolutely.
I don't
So
believe in WhatsApp forward, but this is one thing that stuck to me. But it has changed the way. Like I myself never thought that work from home can be a practical model.
I mean,
but now
really,
it's reality, right?
I work in the agency. I know for agencies, when you don't sit with your colleagues and talk and interact, you cannot work. But it has changed.
So the benefits of working together is different, because I'm seeing now when my teams come back to office, the camaraderie, the vision, the exchange is different. But now I know that if I have to send them back and work from home for 2 days a week, or let's say like probably during rains, I want to tell them, guys, don't come to office, don't get stuck on the streets, right? I can operate without any dip in quality or commitment. So that's how it is. So listening, I feel the industry is very evolved, and I'm happy. But but just one, I just hope that we don't get into that standardization rut, is where everything goes down spiral. Yeah.
And since we've been working together, so I would like to hear your thoughts on how Connect Insights has been a part of your.
So I just want to share this with the team also. Like I met Samir for the first time in 2012 when I was on a panel for the Social Media Week. Samir was there. It was a networking conversation and then I met Samir in office, and I personally have seen the tool grow to leaps and bounds, right? I think very few tool that I've seen who's kept itself so on the edge, as if they're going to get extinct tomorrow. So the whole hunger ki hame develop karna hai, naya lana hai, ye lana hai. And whenever I've spoken to anyone from the product team also, they're always open for ideas. In fact, I remember whenever we used to meet, right? Samir used to sit with a notepad and used to note down. He still does that, right? And that's then. And the beauty is, if it's universal, right? He will implement that. He will ensure that the team implements. So and with him, we share a very different bond beyond work as well. And what that's for many things, but I think what stands out for us while using KI is like it's by far the most when it comes to sentiment classification. The amount of accuracy that I see here is ahead of the other ones that we work. So as a company, we are tool agnostic, and that's a choice that we kept. We don't want to, and that's why we work with, like, I think if I just open the sheet, a massive spread of tools that we work with. But for KI, I mean, when it comes to that sentiment classification, kick ass, and when you start using it, and wherever you change the MI, the machine learning and the AI is next level. So it just gets better and better. That's one very important. And next, the logical automation, how we can do getting NPS on time, getting those the ratings automated on GMB, those efficiencies. The most important is you can integrate this with umpteen number of platforms, the marketplace integration. So these are the few things, and I think on top of all, the UI UX, it's very easy, and that's what I get when I speak to my team also. It's a very easy to use tool for agents in general. and the dashboards. Like everything. It's yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. In fact, like you said, we are also very customer centric. That's why Samir loves to talk to his customers, partners, and learn as much as possible. Because ultimately,
Right.
what we are doing is we learn from whom we are serving, right? And until we don't get what we're not able to deliver what they want, there's no point doing something. So that's good, and I think that's the reason why we share a very good bond in terms of working together for a long time.
Totally.
And thank you so much for those kind words. Any advice you would like to give? I think we have already short our time. It's already 4:40, but the conversation is going great. So what we'll do is this one last question, and then we'll go into the Q&A. So any advice to marketers, aspirants, even experienced ones on ORM or anything related to the industry and what they should?
So I want to drop three things, and these are macro things which needs a lot of thought, and it's a school of thought problem. Okay, one is ORM, while by default sounds reactive, it's no more reactive. It has to be equally proactive also. So change in mindset for that. Next most important, which I keep on fighting with brands, turnaround time has to be junked into the dustbin. It's a mathematical problem to solve. The more people you put, the faster the turnaround get. It doesn't add any value to your business. So we need to relook at the kind of KPIs that we're chasing. Because turnaround time only burns people because they are always under stress to reply, and that's in that speed mistakes happen. So TAT is something that I feel has to be relooked. And third and the most important thing, okay, technology is to facilitate and not dominate.
Absolutely.
Like your tech will handle seamless queries, but but consumers need solution. Technology वो solution नहीं दे पाएगा, तो आपको कुछ भी कर लो. Okay, इसीलिए मैं बार बार वो word use कर रहा हूँ, logical automation. Because sometimes it's left or right, automate कर दिया खत्म. And then I have brand who said कि प्रेम स्टार रेटिंग 1 दिया है, नीचे उसने अच्छा लिखा है, स्टार रेटिंग 5 दिया, नीचे उसने गाली दिया है. Right, this is what happens. So hence you need people. You cannot take people out when you are handling people. So these three things, and one more thing very important is that don't treat ORM as good to have but not important. Those days are gone. Those days are gone.
Embedded in the system, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I really agree with your point that technology is there for facilitating, but
true.
Ultimately the insights that will we will only be able to give it. We'll have to look at the data and come up with that, right?
True.
I really want to ask you more questions from my side, of course, but shortage of time. We're already at 6:40, so I'll pick up some questions from the list that we have. Coming straight to you, should brands encourage customer reviews?
Okay, it's a tough one, but a very intelligent question. Okay, now reviews are important. Okay, and it's a catch-22 situation.
Okay,
I personally tell brands don't seed. Okay, but the problem is when you reach out, consumers in general don't review. And these platforms are wired in a way that the more the reviews, like Amazon, like for example, have you seen brands that we worked in the past, them losing orders because of the rating from 4 to went to 3.9. And those orders, like, and these are, I'm talking about the seller center wherein Amazon will, the platforms will, Amazon or Flipkart will take bulk order. They will keep it on their, all those. They've lost orders worth crores, like, and I'm talking about 10s and 20s right now. So brands have to do. So I don't have a straight answer, unfortunately. I like to shoot, but if you ask me as a person, I will always say, don't do this. And if I'm on the brand side, this is what my stance would be. But like, if I'm going to lose business, that means my growth of the company goes down. And I'm talking about brands, right? And that also sometimes jobs are at stake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I probably take a call saying that maybe I should keep what I feel aside and do what is right for the system. There also, I think if you're buying those reviews, right? But I think as brand, and I'm hoping the person who asked works for a brand, please try to make those changes to the product. I can, and this is what happened. We've said no to brands wherein we realized that the brand is not doing anything. Just buying these reviews and not changing the core deficiency in the product or the quality of the product, right? And in a way, we are facilitating cheating, which is not our values that we build. So we've said no to brands like these in the past. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for that opinion of yours, Prem. And let me ask you another one. So this is interesting. I think this is something that even I'm looking forward to. Is some techniques used by you or your company or your
Right.
brand that you work with to boost your some ORM techniques to boost the brand's
Right.
customer focus
I'll
channel.
try to keep it simple. Okay. Um, like I said, one of the things that I recommended for brands and agencies also, like focus on proactive equally than just focusing on complaints, because as a partner, and this is what I tell brands also, like I cannot control the negative outflow for you, but what I can control is the positive outflow for you. So as agency, what way we can add value is increase the positive, and when people look for that brand, right, they will see a better perception over there. So be proactive as much as possible, and I think stay away from canned responses. Okay, I think the industry is
Logical automation is very important here.
sorry.
Logical automation, I think.
Yeah. Matlab, that's one big change you'll get, because you'll see, like, and whichever brands were doing, like, you'll see, "Arey, I don't want to talk to a bot. I don't want to talk to a machine." That happens because we sound like that. So and when I want, and I think if you want to just think how a brand experience is generated by every touch point a particular person has with a brand. So all those touch point has to sing in the same tune that the brand wants to.
Right.
So how you converse, what you converse, how you, or rather let people know that the feedback they've given is actioned, and make them feel bad. Solve, go out of the way. I know we have a brand called Oppo. They've gone during pandemic. They've gone to a elderly's house to get the phone repaired because that person could not come to the service center.
Right. Okay.
The insight was picked by the teams and delivered, right? So these are the places how you elevate somebody's experience by just surprising them. I think that's a keyword.
Right. All right. One question, I'll probably combine two questions so that we cover both of them. So how does ORM and impact PR? And since ORM, I mean, a lot of people talk about ORM very close to SEO. So how is that evolved? And
so okay. So when I started my career in 2010, and I feel what the reason why also online reputation management came is because ORM was very search driven at that time. We're talking about 2010, 11, 12, when blogs used to dominate, Mouthshut used to dominate. Okay. Those days are gone. Okay. Now brands don't focus more on ACRP, and even Google search page is slightly differently wired than what it used to be. Okay. So those days are gone. Slightly, it's not relevant to SEO anymore. But the first question, when how it's related to PR, is very interesting, because you generate a lot of positive stories. Like how a brand, for example, like they talk about hospitality, right? Like there was a time when we picked up a conversation, passed it on to the team, and the team got to know that somebody was searching for someone who was working at that hotel who helped his father, who's no more.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. And when they were posted, army kid, then they were posted in a particular state. We figured those things out, and then we got to know that was wahi pe hai jo janta hai usko. So those people were we, like, the online conversation that got picked could facilitate these two people meeting. That was then used by the PR team of that particular hotel to push. And a lot of things that you see, like how brands troll each other. Okay. Or let's say like how now when you get into topicals, okay, you get featured on different pages. So it's all part of the larger PR game where you're managing the perception, right? And then what I want, like ORM, what it does also is when brands are checked online, they should see that this brand is thriving and then solving people's issue and not just getting battered by people. So it's all part of the PR game overall.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much answers the question. All right, one question, last question from me, Prem. You said we should replace stats. Do you have the answer for that? With what we plan to replace TATs?
So we push for closure rate.
Closure rate. Okay.
Now closure rate also not a superficial goal, because a lot of time closure rate dikhane ke liye hum
case
chalu hai, hum soft close kar dete, right? So what I tell brand is closure when a particular person is satisfied. Now ho sakta hai ki wo particular person satisfied nahi hai, so let it be. We analyze. Now I don't need a closure rate of 90% or let's say 100%. I need a positive, or let's say, let me make it more direct, is a positive closure rate, where a complaint came and I with the brand team managed to solve that complaint, and that particular person right now is happy with the resolution. Now, why it's important? Because you've retained the consumer, and not just like let you also आप सोचिए जरा कि आपको एक बड़ा problem हुआ, okay, and the brand solved it. What you will tell me? कि प्रेम अरे कुछ नहीं हो जाएगा. This is the place where you speak to them. They will solve your query.
Right.
So that has a cascading effect. So hence, closure rate is something that we push for. And then sometime, and that's what we focus on. A lot of people focus on. A lot of brands want us to chase a positive to negative ratio, wherein for every negative, how many positive we generate. All those, but I think the impact that your brand will get is through closure rate, because you're solving issues and retaining this, and this overlaps with us and the internal escalation teams that actually solves these issues.
All right. Thank you, Prem. I'm really thrilled with this session. I also learned a lot. I mean, I've been in the industry for good 10, 12 years, more than that actually. But yeah, and coming from somebody who has been in that, and really, it really puts a lot of things into perspective. And I'm sure the audience also has learned a lot. If you have any questions, I'm sorry, we'll have to wrap this up now. We've already, short over our prescribed time. But please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to take your questions offline as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
man.
Prem.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time here, and we'll connect again soon.
Pleasure.
So it's a Tuesday, so have a very wonderful rest of the week, and take care.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.